Unit 4-1, Millbrook.
Still no signal, nothing but static.
Copy. Checking the curve.
Nothing. I'm clearing out.
The recorder's running. October 14th, 1991. Approximately 9:47 p.m. This is Deputy Henry Shaw, badge number 1177, Millbrook County Sheriff's Department. I'm making this tape because I've been told I have to. Captain Reeves says it's protocol now, says they want everything documented after what happened with Danny, after what happened with Lyle before him, after what happened with Tom before that. 3 partners in 3 years, 3 men who went into Coyle Tract and never came back out. And now, they're putting someone new in my car tonight. Fresh out of the academy, 23 years old, name's Briggs. Kevin Briggs. Nice kid. Too nice for this. I told Reeves I'd work alone. I've been telling him that for 8 months now. He won't listen. Says the department can't have a deputy running solo shifts. Says it's against regulation. I told him the regulation should be keeping people away from that stretch of 903 after dark. He told me I was being dramatic. Called me traumatized. Maybe Damn, but I'm not wrong. There's something out there in those woods. I've never seen it clear, never seen it whole, but I've seen enough. I've heard enough. And I've buried 3 friends because of it. So I'm making this tape, I'm keeping the recorder running all night. If something happens to me tonight, if something happens to that kid, I want there to be a record. I want someone to know what's really going on out here. Dispatch, this is Unit 7. I'm 10-8, starting patrol on Route 903. Over. Static crackle. Unit 7, dispatch copies, you're 10-8 at 21:52. Be advised we have a report of an abandoned vehicle near mile marker 31. Caller states it's been there since this afternoon. Can you check it out? 10-4. Dispatch. En route to mile marker 31. ETA approximately 20 minutes. Briggs is looking at me from the passenger seat. He's got that look they all have at first, that eager look, like this is some kind of adventure. He doesn't know yet. I haven't told him about Tom or Lyle or Danny. I figure he's heard the rumors, everyone in the department has, but he hasn't asked me directly and I'm not going to volunteer it. What would I even say? Don't go into the woods, kid. If you hear something calling your name, don't answer. If you see someone standing between the trees, don't look too long. They'll think I'm crazy. They already think I'm crazy. Briggs asks me what it's like working the night shift out here. Says he heard it's quiet. I tell him it is quiet. Too quiet. Sometimes he laughs a little, thinks I'm joking. I'm not. Route 903 runs about 40 miles through the county, and most of it's nothing but trees. Coyle Tract covers almost 8,000 acres on the eastern side of the road, old growth forest that's never been developed because the state bought it back in the 60s for conservation. No houses, no hunting, no camping, just trees and darkness and whatever lives in there. I've been patrolling this road for 11 years. I've seen things I can't explain. Lights moving through the trees that weren't flashlights or headlights, shapes standing at the edge of the road that weren't deer, sounds coming from deep in the woods that weren't any animal I know, and I've seen 3 good men walk into that forest and never walk back out. Tom Hendricks was the first. November 1988. We got a call about a possible 1054 livestock on the road near mile marker 29. Tom went to check the tree line, said he thought he saw something moving in there. I waited by the car. I heard him call out once, twice, then nothing. Search and rescue combed those woods for a week. Never found a trace of him. Not a boot print, not a piece of fabric, nothing. Lyle Patterson was next. August 1989. Same stretch of road, maybe a mile further north. We were responding to a report of a disabled vehicle. The car was there. Engine still running, but no driver. Lyle said he heard something in the woods. Said it sounded like a woman crying. He went to check. I told him to wait, but he was already walking toward the trees. I heard him shout something, couldn't make out the words. Then silence. They searched for 12 days that time. Found his flashlight about 200 yards into the woods, but that was it. Danny Marsh was the last one. February 1991, 8 months ago. We were just driving, routine patrol, and Danny suddenly told me to stop the car. Said he saw someone standing in the road up ahead. I didn't see anyone. I told him there was no one there. He was adamant, got out of the car and started walking toward nothing, just empty road. I called after him. He didn't respond. kept walking until he reached the shoulder, then stepped off the asphalt and went straight into Coyle Tract. I tried to follow him. I swear I tried, but I couldn't move. My legs wouldn't work. It was like something was holding me in place, like the air had turned solid around me. I watched Danny disappear into the trees, and I couldn't do a damn thing to stop him. They found his service weapon about half a mile into the woods. Nothing else. The official reports all say the same thing. Officers disappeared under unexplained circumstances, presumed deceased, cases closed. Nobody investigates anymore. Nobody asks questions. The department just pretends it isn't happening, but it is happening. And now I've got a 23-year-old kid sitting next to me, and we're driving straight toward mile marker 31, and my hands won't stop shaking. I asked Briggs if he wants to switch on the radio, something to break the silence. He finds some country station out of Harrisburg, and Garth Brooks comes through the speakers, and for a few minutes it almost feels normal. Almost feels like just another quiet night on patrol. Then we pass mile marker 28, and the radio starts to crackle. Static bleeding through the music, getting louder, until I can't hear the song anymore at all. Briggs fiddles with the dial, but it doesn't help. The static just gets worse. This always happens out here. I've never been able to explain it. Something about the area interferes with signals. Radio, cell phones, if you can even get service out here. Everything. Dispatch, this is Unit 7. Radio check, over. Heavy static. Unit 7, copy. More static than silence. Briggs looks at me. I tell him it's normal. Tell him the mountains mess with the signal. He doesn't look convinced. Neither am I. We're approaching mile marker 31 now. I can see the abandoned vehicle up ahead, pulled off onto the shoulder. Old Buick, looks like maybe an 82 or 83, dark blue or black, hard to tell in the dark. No lights on, no movement. I pull up behind it, leave the patrol car running, keep the headlights on so we can see. Tell Briggs to stay in the car. He starts to protest, says partners are supposed to back each other up. I tell him this isn't a discussion. I tell him to stay in the car and keep the engine running. If he sees anything at all, he's supposed to lay on the horn and radio for backup. He looks at me like I'm overreacting. Maybe I am. But I'd rather be wrong and paranoid than right and responsible for another dead partner. I step out into the cold. October in Pennsylvania, the air's got that bite to it. That sharp, clean smell of dead leaves and frost. The Buick is about 15 feet ahead of me. I approach slow, flashlight in my left hand, right hand resting on my sidearm. The car looks empty. Windows are fogged up, can't see inside clearly. I reach the driver's side door and shine my light through the glass. Empty. Nobody in the front, nobody in the back. Keys are still in the ignition. There's a cup of coffee in the holder, and when I touch the side of the cup, it's still warm. Someone was here recently. Very recently. I try the door, unlocked. I open it, lean in to check the registration. Vehicle is registered to a Margaret Holloway, address in Clearfield about 40 miles west of here. I radio it in, ask dispatch to run the name. The E. Static is so bad I can barely make out their response. Something about checking, will advise. Then nothing. I stand there in the cold, looking at this empty car with its warm coffee and its keys in the ignition, and I feel it. That feeling I always get out here. That feeling of being watched. I turn around slowly. The woods are about 30 feet from the road here, a wall of black trees pressing against the darkness. My flashlight doesn't penetrate far, maybe 20 feet of visibility, before the beam just dies, swallowed up by the shadows between the trunks. I don't see anything, but I feel it. Something in there, watching me, waiting. I start backing toward the patrol car, keeping my eyes on the tree line. That's when I hear it. A voice, faint, distant, coming from somewhere deep in the woods. A woman's voice. Help me, please. Someone help me. My blood goes cold. I've heard this before. I heard it the night Lyle disappeared. The same words, the same pleading tone. Briggs. Ears out of the car now, damn it, I told him to stay inside, and he's looking toward the woods, his hand on his weapon. He heard it too. He asks me if that was someone calling for help. I tell him to get back in the car. He doesn't listen. He's young. He's trained to respond, to protect and serve. He doesn't understand that sometimes the thing calling for help isn't a person at all. The voice comes again. Closer now. Help me. I'm lost. Please. I can't see anything moving in the trees. The voice. Sounds like it's coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. Briggs takes a step toward the woods. I grab his arm hard and tell him we're leaving. Tell him we're calling this in and waiting for backup. He looks at me like I've lost my mind. Says there's someone out there who needs our help, says we can't just leave. I tell him that's not a person. He asks me what the hell I'm talking about. How do I explain? How do I tell him that I've been hearing that same voice for 3 years, that it sounds different every time, that it sounds like whoever you most want to help, that it lures you into the woods and then you never come back? I can't explain. I just pull him toward the patrol car and tell him to get inside. He resists for a second, then something in my face must convince him because he stops fighting and gets in the passenger seat. I get behind the wheel and throw the car into drive. We're leaving. I don't care about the abandoned Buick. I don't care about Margaret Holloway. I don't care about protocol. We're getting out of here. That's when the engine dies, just cuts out, no warning, no sputtering, just silence. I turn the key. Nothing. Try again. Nothing. The headlights flicker once, twice, then go dark. We're sitting in pitch blackness on the side of Route 903, and the only light is the pale glow of stars through the windshield. Briggs asks me what's happening. I don't have an answer. This is new. This has never happened before. I try the radio. Dead. Try the spotlight mounted on the door. Dead. Everything electrical in the car has just stopped working, and that voice is still calling from the woods. Help me. Please. I can hear footsteps now. Footsteps in the leaves, somewhere in the darkness between the trees, coming toward the road. Coming toward us. I tell Briggs not to move. Tell him not to make a sound. We sit there in the dark, barely breathing, listening to those footsteps get closer, closer, closer. Then they stop. The silence is absolute. No wind, no insects, no nightbirds. Nothing but the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. I don't know how long we sit there. Minutes. Could be longer. My eyes start to adjust to the darkness, and I can just barely make out the tree line, a black mass against the slightly less black sky. And standing at the edge of the woods, maybe 20 feet from the car, I see a shape, a figure, tall, thin, standing perfectly still, watching us. I want to reach for my weapon. I want to turn on the flashlight. I can't move. That same paralysis from the night Danny disappeared, that same frozen helplessness. I can only sit and stare at the figure in the dark. Briggs whispers something, asks me if I see it. I try to answer, but my voice won't come. The figure doesn't move, doesn't come closer, doesn't retreat, just stands there at the edge of the road watching. Then, slowly, it raises one arm, points directly at us, at me. The cold is unbearable now, even inside the car. My breath is fogging in front of my face. Briggs is shaking beside me, and I don't think it's just from fear. The temperature has dropped 20-30 degrees in the space of a minute. The figure holds its arm out for what feels like an eternity. Then it turns, slowly, deliberately, and walks back into the woods. The footsteps resume, fainter now, retreating into the trees, fading. The moment it disappears from sight, the paralysis breaks. I can move again. I turn the key in the ignition, and the engine roars to life. The headlights blaze back on, illuminating the empty road ahead of us. I don't hesitate. I floor it. We're doing 60 on a road that should max out at 45, but I don't care. I need to put distance between us and that stretch of woods. Briggs is breathing hard beside me, short panicked breaths, and he asks me what the hell that was. I tell him I don't know. I'm lying. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know what it does. I know it takes people, takes them into the woods, and keeps them there. Takes them so completely that not even their bodies are ever found. We drive for maybe 10 minutes before I finally ease off the gas. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely grip the steering wheel. Briggs hasn't said anything since he asked what it was. He's just sitting there staring straight ahead, pale as a ghost. I radio dispatch. The signal is clear now, crystal clear, like the interference never happened. I report the abandoned vehicle. Tell them we need to locate Margaret Holloway. Tell them to send daylight units to search the area. I don't mention what we saw. How could I? They'd think I was crazy. They already think I'm crazy. Dispatch copies, says they'll follow up in the morning. I acknowledge and sign off. We ride in silence for a while. I'm heading back toward Millbrook, toward the station, toward lights and people and civilization. I'm not going back to that stretch of road tonight. I don't care what calls come in. I'm done for the night. Briggs finally speaks, asks me if that's what happened to my other partners, if that's what took them. I don't answer right away. I'm still trying to process what just happened. Finally, I tell him yes. Tell him that's what I believe. Tell him I can't prove it, can't explain it, but I've seen it before. Not clearly, not completely, but enough. Enough to know it's real. Briggs nods slowly. He doesn't argue, doesn't try to rationalize it away. He was there. He felt it. He saw it. Whatever that. Thing is, it made a believer out of him tonight. We're maybe 5 miles from Millbrook when the radio crackles. Unit 7, this is dispatch. We have a report of a possible 1070 Prowler near mile marker 31. Caller reports someone attempting to break into vehicles on Route 903. Can you respond? My blood turns to ice. Mile marker 31, the same stretch we just fled. And a Prowler. That's not a Prowler. That's never a Prowler. I don't respond immediately. I'm gripping the wheel, trying to decide what to do. Briggs is looking at me, waiting for my answer. Unit 7, do you copy? 10-4 dispatch, I copy. Can you get another unit to respond? We're 10-7, heading back to station. Negative, Unit 7. All other units are occupied. You're the only available car in that sector. Please respond to mile marker 31. I close my eyes, take a deep breath. Every instinct I have is screaming at me to refuse, to claim car trouble, to do anything to avoid going back there. But I can't. There's a caller out. There's someone who saw something. Someone who might be in danger. I'm a cop. This is my job. 10-4 dispatch. Unit 7 en route to mile marker 31. ETA 10 minutes. I turn the car around. Briggs asks me if I'm sure about this. I tell him no. I'm not sure about anything anymore, but I can't leave a civilian out there if something is happening. He nods, checks his weapon, settles back into his seat. Kid's got guts. More guts than sense, maybe, but guts. I respect that. The drive back feels longer than 10 minutes. Every mile marker that passes is another step closer to that stretch of woods, another step closer to whatever is waiting for us. I keep my eyes on the road, but I can feel the darkness pressing in from both sides, the walls of trees looming just beyond the reach of my headlights. We pass mile marker 28, and the radio static starts again. Not as bad as before, but definitely there, a faint hiss underneath the dispatch chatter. I don't mention it to Briggs. He can hear it too. We pass mile marker 29. The static gets louder, 30. Louder still. Then we're approaching 31, and I can see the Buick is still there on the shoulder, exactly where we left it. But there's another vehicle now parked behind it. A pickup truck, local plates, engine running, headlights on. Someone's here. I pull up behind the pickup, leave the patrol car running this time. Learn from your mistakes. I tell Briggs to stay in the car again. This time he doesn't argue. I step out, hand on my weapon, and approach the pickup. There's someone in the driver's seat. A man, middle-aged, heavy-set, wearing a hunting jacket. He sees me coming and rolls down his window. I ask him if he's the one who called about a Prowler. He nods, says he was driving home from his brother's place and saw someone walking around the Buick up ahead. Says they looked like they were trying to get into it. Says he pulled over to wait for the cops. I ask him where the person went. He points toward the woods. Says they walked into the trees about 5 minutes ago. Didn't come back out. Says he's been watching, waiting, but nothing. I thank him for the report, tell him he can head home. We'll handle it from here. He gives me a look, like he wants to say something else, then thinks better of it, rolls up his window and pulls away. I watch his tail lights disappear around the bend before I turn back toward the Buick. The warm coffee is still in the cup holder. The keys are still in the ignition, but something's different. Now there's a handbag on the passenger seat. I'm certain it wasn't there before. I would have noticed. I look at the woods, that wall of darkness, impenetrable, waiting. Whoever that man saw walking into the trees, if it was a person at all, is still in there. Maybe Margaret Holloway is in there too. Maybe she's been in there all along. I should call for backup. I should wait for daylight. I should do anything except what I'm about to do. I walk back to the patrol car. Tell Briggs I'm going too. Take a quick look at the tree line. See if I can see anything from the edge. Tell him to keep the engine running, keep the lights on. If I'm not back in 5 minutes, he's supposed to radio for every available unit and get the hell out of here. He starts to protest, wants to come with me. I tell him no, tell him firmly. One of us needs to stay with the vehicle. He can watch my back from here with the spotlight. He doesn't like it, but he nods. I take a deep breath and start walking toward the woods. The flashlight in my hand feels inadequate, a tiny circle of light against an ocean of darkness. I reach the edge of the trees and stop. The undergrowth is thick here, dead leaves and fallen branches, and the twisted roots of old oaks. The smell is overwhelming. Decomposition, mold, that sickly sweet odor of things rotting in the dark. I call out, "Sheriff's Department. Is anyone there?" My voice sounds strange, muffled, like the forest is absorbing the sound. No echo, no resonance, just dead air. I call out again. "Margaret Holloway, can you hear me?" Nothing. I take one step into the woods, then another. The leaves crunch under my boots, impossibly loud in the silence. Behind me, I can see the glow of the patrol car's headlights through the trees, a distant beacon of safety. I don't go far. Maybe 20 feet in, just enough to see past the first row of trees. I sweep my flashlight back and forth, looking for any sign of movement, any sign of a person. That's when I see it, lying on the ground half buried in leaves about 10 feet ahead of me. A shoe, a woman's shoe, black, low-heeled, the kind you'd wear to an office. I don't pick it up. I don't get any closer. I'm already backing up, retracing my steps, keeping my flashlight trained on the ground ahead of me, because I know what this is. It's bait. It wants me to go deeper. It wants me to keep looking. It wants to take me like it took Tom and Lyle and Danny. I'm almost back to the tree line when I hear footsteps behind me, coming fast. I spin around, flashlight raised, and the beam catches something. A face, pale, impossibly pale, eyes that don't reflect light the way they should, a mouth stretched too wide, and then my flashlight dies, and I'm running. I'm running toward the headlights, toward the patrol car, toward Briggs. I can hear branches snapping behind me, hear something crashing through the underbrush, gaining on me. I burst out of the tree line and I'm sprinting across the shoulder, and Briggs has the spotlight on now, sweeping it toward the woods, toward where I came from. He's shouting something, but I can't hear him over my own ragged breathing, over the blood pounding in my ears. I reach the car, yank open the door, throw myself inside. "Drive," I tell him, "now." He doesn't hesitate, slams the car into gear, and we're moving, tires squealing, engine roaring. I look in the side mirror as we pull away, and the spotlight catches something at the edge of the woods. A figure, the same figure from before, standing perfectly still, watching us leave. And next to it, another figure, smaller, a woman maybe. And next to that, another. 3 figures standing at the tree line. 3 figures who weren't there before, watching us. I look away. I can't keep looking. If I keep looking, I'll see something I can't unsee. We're doing 70 now, Briggs white-knuckling the wheel, and I'm just trying to breathe, trying to think, trying to understand what I just saw. That face in the woods, that impossible face, it wasn't human. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't human. And those figures at the tree line, 3 of them. Why 3? I think about Tom and Lyle and Danny, 3 partners, 3 men who disappeared into Coyle Tract. I think about what I saw in that mirror, and my stomach turns. We don't stop until we reach the station. Briggs pulls into the parking lot and kills the engine, and we just sit there for a long moment, neither of us speaking. Finally, he asks me what I saw in the woods. I tell him I don't want to talk about it. He asks me if it's related to what happened to my partners. I tell him I think so. He's quiet for a while. Then he says something that I've been thinking, but haven't been able to say out loud. He says those figures at the tree line, there were 3 of them. Same number as partners I've lost. I don't respond. I don't have to. He knows what he saw. He knows what I'm thinking. We file our reports separately. I keep mine vague. Responded to a call about an abandoned vehicle and a possible prowler. No contact with subjects. Vehicle belongs to Margaret Holloway. Whereabouts unknown. Recommend daylight follow-up. I don't mention the figure in the woods. Don't mention the face I saw, the one that haunted my dreams for weeks after. Don't mention the 3 shapes standing at the tree line. No one would believe me anyway. They'd chalk it up to stress, to trauma, to a cop who lost too many partners and couldn't handle it anymore. Captain Reeves pulls me aside before I leave, tells me Margaret Holloway's family has been notified that her vehicle was found. They say she was driving home from a work conference in Pittsburgh, was supposed to arrive yesterday afternoon, never made it. Another person missing near Coyle Tract, another case that will never be solved. Reeves asks me if I'm okay. I tell him I'm fine. He doesn't believe me. Neither do I. I go home as the sun is coming up, sit in my kitchen and drink coffee and stare at the wall. I can still see that face when I close my eyes. Those eyes that didn't reflect light. That mouth stretched too wide. And I keep thinking about those three figures, standing at the tree line, watching, waiting. What does it want? Why does it take people? Why has it let me live all these years while it took everyone around me? I don't have answers. I've never had answers. All I have is a recording. This recording, and the testimony of a rookie deputy who saw what I saw and knows I'm not crazy. Briggs called me this morning, said he's putting in for a transfer, said he can't work out here anymore, not after what he experienced. I don't blame him. I've been thinking about doing the same thing for years, but something keeps me here. Some stubborn part of me that refuses to leave without understanding, without knowing the truth. I'm going back. Not tonight, but soon. In daylight, with backup, with cameras and recording equipment. I'm going to find out. What's really in Coyle Tract? What took my partners? What's been waiting in those woods for God knows how long? I know it's dangerous. I know it might kill me, but I can't keep running. I can't keep pretending it's not real. Those men deserve answers. Their families deserve closure, and I need to know. This tape will be secured in my safety deposit box at First National Bank of Millbrook. If I don't come back, I've instructed my attorney to turn it over to the FBI. Someone needs to investigate what's happening out here. Someone with more resources than a small-town sheriff's department. Someone who might actually believe. This is Deputy Henry Shaw, badge number 1177, Millbrook County Sheriff's Department. End of recording. October 14th, 1991. 6:47 a.m. The following addendum was added to this file on November 3rd, 1991. Deputy Henry Shaw organized a daylight search of Coyle Tract on October 28th, 1991. The search party consisted of Shaw, Deputy Kevin Briggs, who postponed his transfer request, 2 state police officers, and a civilian tracking expert. They entered the woods at 9:15 a.m. At 2:47 p.m., Deputy Briggs emerged from the forest alone. He was found wandering on Route 903, approximately 2 miles from the original entry point. He was unable to account for the previous 5 hours and had no memory of what happened to the other members of the search party. Deputy Henry Shaw and the 3 other men were never found. The recordings discovered in Deputy Shaw's safety deposit box were turned over to federal authorities, as per his instructions. After a brief review, the case was classified and all materials were sealed. Kevin Briggs resigned from the Millbrook County Sheriff's Department on November 15, 1991. His current whereabouts are unknown. Route 903 through Coyle Tract was permanently closed to nighttime traffic in March 1992, citing road maintenance concerns. As of this writing, the road remains closed between the hours of sunset and sunrise. The case of Deputy Henry Shaw remains officially open. No explanation has ever been offered for what happened in those woods.